your favorite redhead caster from the ITM community. I don't think there's
Narrowed
many
it
other
down.
casters.
It's not off as a favorite, and it just shrunk how many people you can possibly be saying I'm a favorite out of until just favorite of myself. But I'll still take it.
Yeah, it's not a big list of that. It's either you or we've got someone like Newer who's like our favorite bold caster because there's only one bold caster. But again, absolutely great pleasure to have you here today and to help cast these games that we've got going on. Again, we previously watched the upper bracket match 2, which saw Yug and Crisp manage to get their win over Jake and Gibletz, and they're going to be going through upper bracket round 2, going up against Taukai and Adsad, I believe, who won their upper bracket round 1 match. We're not going to be covering that match. We're going to be taking a look at the lower bracket match, which is going to feature who?
It is going to be featuring Twiddies, who I can confirm has now woken up.
Woo! Let's go!
So I'll be intrigued to see how they get on. It's a chance for a bit of a lower bracket run. Surprised somehow it's not the first time we've actually seen something like this happen.
Yeah.
Reminiscing to you just before we went live. Yeah, a bit of a personal experience of BIPC in 2023. We ran a prospects very similar to this, and Monochrome only woke up after his first match and then ran through the entire lower bracket to reach the grand final, which is quite funny. So maybe Twiddies will try and emulate that.
Yeah.
A bit of a smaller bracket for this, so
yeah,
it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioning, as a side note, players not waking up in time, seemingly performing incredibly well. Like you said, Mono could be potentially with Twiddies here, and we have to see with Acros, pretty much every single Welsh TSCC arriving 5 minutes into a match, 15 minutes into the match, asking, "Oh guys, what's pick bands? I've been asleep," and then playing like an absolute demon. So we'll see. Maybe this is the secret buff that Twiddies has now realized from Acros. You know, an extra 5 minutes, or in this case, an hour sleep, and he's just going to perform like a monster. Maybe. He's got some stiff competition though.
I think
going up against Jake, I believe, as probably 1 and 2, I'd say, for this match.
Yeah, I think Jake and Twiddies are definitely the favourites coming into this. I didn't see that much of the last match because I was sat in the other room. I was sat watching Taukai, Adsad, and Rapids, and Taukai performed very, very well.
Yeah.
I think exited the match about 3 rounds before Adsad hit finalist. You know, he was out of there.
Okay.
Adsad was pretty dominant over Rapids. I want to say it was about a 30-point gap at the end.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how Rapids is going to fare.
Yeah.
Might bounce back a bit. We'll see. But yeah, Jake and Twiddies are my predictions for this. But that involves having any faith in Jake. And
yeah,
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, he's one of them players who I think if he locks in, like, he can be fine. But if he starts to let the mental games start winning over him, it can be a bit hit and miss. We saw on the Discord server on the break, in the little Div2 player channel we've got, that him and Adsad were kind of going back and forth, doing a bit of trash talking. So, he's fired up at least. He's got that dog in him. He's definitely going to want to make it through to the next round and be able to prove himself against Adsad. But we'll see if he's able to do it, It's going to be tough. But you said, not to discredit Rapids and Gibletz, who we've also got in this match. So Gibletz have a couple of good rounds last match, especially on Go Wild, the 4 maps. He was able to keep it together and really capitalize on other people's mistakes. So we'll see if that happens as we go through on this match. And yeah, I said Rapids didn't see it on the main broadcast, but it can be pretty good. I think it'll again be more of not really pushing for pace, but just playing for consistency and hoping that the other players can maybe trip themselves up and he can capitalize on that.
Yeah, as much as Rapids may have looked a bit weaker in kind of their first round match, they were up against two of the strongest people I think we have coming into this. Taukai, I think, is a fair bet to have a chance to win. Comes in as the highest seed based off initial seeding, and looked to be performing well. Adsad looked decent as well, so it wasn't an easy match to get out of,
No, 100%.
for sure. So I'll be intrigued to see how they get on. And when you're dealing with kind of a lower bracket like this, there's going to be a lot of inconsistencies from all players. So
absolutely, it's gonna be a rough one to watch potentially. Good luck to our production trying to watch the best parts of the match, try and catch every crash. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Again, you say this, obviously we're going to the lower brackets. These players are probably a little bit slow, a little bit more crashy, but the pace differential might be a little bit closer than we saw in the last match. Again, we saw players like Yug and Crisp really get out to like some quite dominant leads on some maps, especially Yug. But we won't really have that, I don't imagine, in this map. In this matchup, potentially Jake and Twiddies, but again, Twiddies has just woken up. Will he be firing on all cylinders when everyone else has already had an hour of practice, effectively, for this match? So I think it's gonna be really close.
I'm really not sure. I mean, there's a possibility that Jake does actually kind of get the focus and does manage to get quite a dominant lead. But there's a chance that Twiddies plays well. There's a chance that Jake kind of gets in his own head and makes mistakes. We've seen that before. So
yeah,
there's so many ways that this could go. And I'm not sure how much more use there is speculating over it when we can get into the game. It will be starting very, very soon as we are in warm-up for the first round.
Yeah, what's this map called then, Pat? So what map are we on first?
That is a very good question. Do I have to answer that?
You don't have to. I mean, it'd be nice for the audience to know the name of the map. Maybe.
Pistol? Is that?
Yeah, we'll take that. That's close enough. Pistol Strada being the first map that these players are going to be competing on. As we said,
I wasn't attempting the second word.
I'm not going to hold that to you. Your English, it's not your fault. Welsh words are hard. I appreciate it. But it's also a pretty tricky map. As we sort of commented on during the first match, it's really tight, really narrow. There's a lot of sections where you can easily clip if you just try pushing a little bit too hard. But fingers crossed, all these players stay relatively clean. The nice funky ice start there, everyone getting it relatively nice, and Gibletz going for a little bit of the wider line. See how this pack develops as we go on through this map here.
Yeah, for now, looking very tight between everyone. Jake with a slightly different line there, where he doesn't leapfrog up into first, manages to avoid the call of a tree this time around. As Twiddies, despite having only been awake for a matter of minutes, perhaps, is looking to be playing well to begin with. Jake
failed the turnaround.
It doesn't work very nicely. Yeah,
Twiddies
Rapids with poor line there.
Twiddies comfortably in first.
Yeah, I mean
49.7. Can't knock it. You can't knock it.
That's strong first time.
Yeah, it's good enough. And again, maybe that sleep buff is really coming into play. Maybe he doesn't need warm up. Maybe this, maybe he had plenty of warm up in like the 5 minutes before this match actually went live. But he's not looking like he's got any of them jitters. As you see, Rapids, a little bit of lag there, but is still driving.
Pay no attention to where Rapid's car actually is. I think Welsh Internet has in fact claimed him.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of an incident. We may throw to a pause after this quickly, just in case. He needs to have a second to recoup his internet, replug it or something. Jake and Twiddies currently battling 1 and 2 right now. Really neck and neck as we go into this drift here. Jake has to release a little bit, and a bit too far, but does manage to get the turnaround, which he failed in the previous round. Bit wonky on the drift there, not enough speed going through to really capitalize and catch Twiddies, who is going to be comfortably finishing first with another great time, around 2 tenths faster than the last round. Yeah,
Twiddies looks to have pace and the consistency so far. So I think lower bracket run very, very possible here.
Definitely. It's also good for us to see Rapids is driving safely now. It looks like he said he DC'd, so thankfully he looks like he's back and driving alright. We don't have to pause the match, don't have to give any break in this high-octane match we've got here. And again, we see everyone getting clean through the start. I also want to point out the lovely skin that Jake has as he crashes. Ignore the caster curse there. He's using the lovely Founders Edition skin, which I believe you can donate some money to the prize pool for the event at Cwpan.com to get yourself if you'd like. I think it's probably the best skin out of the two. It's delicious, delicious skin. Unfortunately for Jake, he's going to be actually up into third place now as Rapids makes a slight error. Oh, and Rapids' second one, Gibletz, not quite so clean on the turnaround. So Jake's actually catching up to him here as we go into the last chicane section. He clips the inside. I have to say it.
Might still get Gibletz, so it has so much more speed and does in fact overtake them. So
wow.
All in all, it's a poor round from Jake, but gets past the two players he needed to.
Yeah,
and still gets to second place. Like, the time might not be good, but the points are still on the board.
Yeah, hey, you get second place, but you're, second and a half, 2 seconds down from first. It doesn't matter. You get second place. You got 6 points. You'll be happy with that, I think. The end result's good. Just don't show your workings out. For that round at least. As again, Twiddies has won all 3 rounds so far. He could be on for the 4-peat here. I hope I don't cast a curse him. Yeah, it's interesting to see how dominant he is being so far in this map.
Yeah, Twiddies has been looking exceptionally good. I think hasn't really been around where Jake has been as close as he is this time around.
No,
we usually see it go a little wonky on this turnaround section. Twiddies gets a little bit ahead, but Jake does get the turnaround. Still drops about 2-3 attempts behind though.
Yeah.
Twiddies are so wide there, I thought they were going into the wall, but avoided and do 49-1.
49-1 is a really good time.
That's rapid.
That's pretty good. I'm pretty sure his PB maybe like around a 48.7, 48.6 potentially. So being 0.5 off your PB and around like that is pretty damn clean. That's the sort of time you might be seeing in sort of a Div 1 match. Again, he didn't perform probably as much as he wanted to during the seeding, but he's showing up today and pretty not holding back. He's not going to let Jake have an easy run through to the lower bracket finals by any means. He's got a 16-point gap over Jake, then followed by Gibletz and Rapid with 15 and 10 points respectfully. And yeah, going to be moving on to our second map, which is Go Wild. I think we could see another 4 first place finishes from Twiddies. This map, I feel like, was his natural grounds. Being a more RPG experimental sort of player that he is, this definitely feels like he's going to be right at home.
Yeah, I can definitely see him doing very, very well here indeed. Whereas Jake, I'm a little worried about here. Because although Jake has performed well in terms of positions, got second every single time last time, the points lead actually isn't that big. It's only 9 points in front of Gibletz. So
yeah, and we did see Gibletz have a couple of clear rounds, like I said last time, in his first match on this. So we'll see.
It helps if you press forward once the round begins.
Yeah, Gibletz probably having a little sip of water,
Yeah, caught napping by the warm-up timer.
Yeah, he gets the best of us. He gets the best of us.
Hey, apparently napping is a strong tactic in Trackmania, as Twiddies has shown. Jake has fallen off there. So that is points going to be going the way of Rapids for now. And
Rapids
Gibletz might be kicking themselves that they didn't start on time, or else may have got Jake about 7 seconds down. I think they made another error.
Yeah, Rapids.
As if Rapids make a mistake.
Well. Yeah, that'll.
So Jake.
Just consecutive jumps, not quite getting the entry to it as nice as he would have liked. Twiddies far away in the lead. We don't even need to worry about him. I think it's a done deal for this round that he's going to be getting first.
Twiddies is somewhere on the horizon. Oh, Twiddies never mind! The horizon has appeared close nearby, and in fact,
my goodness.
Jake, in a truly disgusting fashion, has won the round.
Hey, 103.
Rapid second.
That's you type GR in the chat after that one. That was a round and a half. Yeah, I think what we saw from Twiddies is that he just didn't have enough speed for the drop down into that little ramp after the penultimate checkpoint. It's deceptively hard to gauge how much speed you need for that drop. I think he probably had maybe 144 speed, which is slightly under the threshold that I found for getting it safe, and that punishes him with his not first place time in this match, which is crazy to say.
Considering the gap he had, I'm kind of surprised he didn't go for safe route there. I mean, safe route does lose a considerable amount of time, but he was several seconds in front of anyone else.
Yeah,
so
safe jump,
maybe worth considering.
Yeah, the route to the left, off the little red platform onto the road instead, loses about 0.3, 0.2, depending on how well you get it. But again, he had the room to do that round. Let's see, potentially he does it this round. He's got, again, a 2.5 second lead. Let's fingers crossed, touch wood, he doesn't do it. He's going to go for the jump, gets it clean this time at least. Jumps through the reactor, and that should be the round win which we were expecting for him. And a 58.6, which is pretty monstrous, I'd say.
Yeah, that winning time is about 5 seconds faster than last round's.
Yeah.
Gibletz struggling here.
Yeah. Again, not an easy map by any means. This is one of the most out there maps we've had for a BITM competitive event.
For sure.
So, understandably, there's going to be a couple crashes. There's probably going to be a few rounds where maybe not all players finish. But everyone's survived so far at the start of this round. Jake having to release a little bit on the jump. They're going to drop him down to 3rd place with Twiddies and Rapids ahead of him. Everyone getting this start of the map fairly clean. The ice flip, though, we've seen some cinema happen here. Rapids jumping really low. Gonna have to land on the red platform there to keep himself alive. Allows Jake to get up into 2nd. Gonna be driving a little bit wild there, as the map would suggest that you would be. But again, 1.5 seconds behind Twiddies, who's really mastered this map. It feels like. Him go through to the ending. Doesn't look like he's going to be making any errors there. Jake following nicely behind. And yeah, another sub 59 time from Twiddies. Jake with a 1 minute flat. Again, that's what he needs to do. If he gets 2nd every round, he'll be going through and he's going to be happy with the little points lead he's gaining there. Yeah, Rapid in 3rd and Gibletz in 4th for that round.
Yeah, we've ended up with quite a kind of spread out top 3 so far. I think Twiddies has performed better than we were expecting for sure. I had a feeling that he'd be strong, but this has been a brilliant performance so far.
Absolutely.
And Jake has just kind of been stuck in the 2nd place.
Yeah.
Ahead of Rapids behind Twiddies. Although, I say about this round, everything's a bit reversed. Yeah, Rapids may or may not be in 1st. It's hard to tell. The internet
Rapids
is
having a Welsh internet moment.
Impersonating a spring.
Yeah, he's on a bungee cord to Jake, but Jake has managed to catapult himself up into 1st, should we believe the in-game timer. Rapids close behind, so this could be a really tight battle here. Rapids keeping with him, getting a little bit wobbly on this section up to the penultimate checkpoint. Everyone getting it clean. Looks like his internet is recovered.
Oh, Jake, where are you going?
That's not the route.
That's nowhere near the route.
Yeah, I think he was trying to risk a little bit too much on that turn there.
Really unfortunate for Jake. That should have been a 7-point swing in his favour over Twiddies.
Yeah, that should have been massive. Only gained 1 point on Twiddies compared to. It
is now only 12 points in front of Rapids.
Yeah, that gap between 2nd and 3rd is starting to narrow itself down. We're seeing a 20-point gap to 1st, but then 2nd is not out of the question. Rapids can definitely start to come back into this. Touchwood, if his internet holds up and he doesn't start rubber banding all over the place, he could definitely bring it back if Jake has a couple more rounds where he makes unforced errors like that. Because he definitely didn't need to push as crazy as he did there. But again, it's a really tough map. And that last corner, specifically, I know I've had times where tap right, you start turning right a little bit too late, and you're just like, my line's actually just not going to make this ring. And it's really punishing, because the respawn for that, you're down then like 3-4 seconds, and you can't come back from that, and that's what we saw then. So, yeah, fingers crossed, we get a little bit cleaner driving from him on our next map, Ieupad. Again, we saw last match. A lot of it was decided with the gear and how well everyone gets the gear on the plastic section. It's a really painful section to get the third gear and then try and battle with the soup to find this fourth gear, this elusive fourth gear in the downhill section. But we'll see. We'll see how all these players manage to handle that as we go into our first round.
Indeed, we are underway. Only 12 points separating Rapids and Jake in that important second place. And where has Jake gone? There he is. Went on a very wide line there. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. And for now, it is actually Rapids leading the way as Twiddies makes a mistake. So, good opportunity for both of them to try and narrow that gap at the top, which is currently 19 points.
Yeah, Jake actually flying over the plastic hole, which I thought he was going to clip on, but doesn't. Managed to keep himself in second, about 0.3 behind Rapids right now. We've seen him struggle a little bit on the ending before Jake. However, he's getting a really nice entry there with the engine off. Going to be catching Rapids probably around a couple speed faster. We'll see if he gets the ice. Nice. Rapids out a bit wide. Jake's going to try for the inside line. Doesn't quite beat him to it, but that was closer than I think we were expecting. That was scary. That one could have switched the other way there if Jake got a slightly maybe brake tapped a little bit more and gotten onto that inside ice line.
Yeah, for sure. Right, this round it is Twiddies again making a mistake early on. So
that was Twiddies.
Yeah, Twiddies who was so dominant at the start of this match, you know, went 4 for 4 on the first map. I think won 2 or 3 out of 4 on the second one.
Yeah.
I think 2 out of 4. And now is really, really struggling as in almost a complete role reversal. Rapids is now running away with it. And the only person who stayed in the same place is probably Jake.
Yeah, Rapids ahead of Jake for a second round in a row would start closing that gap even more. There's only 8 points between them now, I believe. On stream maps.
Oh, Rapids clips though.
Crashes during the engine off section, so he's not going to be getting any faster than he is. He's going to be hobbling to that line as Jake, smooth criminal, ice sliding into first place. Rapids just about behind. Twiddies managed to get a place on Gibletz as well, so he's going to be reclaimed an additional point. But again, Twiddies sort of struggling a little bit with the start of this map, it feels like.
Yeah, it's surprising to see Twiddies struggling so much here. So the gap is now down to only 11 points between Twiddies and Jake. So that was a massive round the context of the overall match. As the threat of Rapids chasing Jake has subsided for a bit. As you know, it looked like he could have gone down to only a 4-point gap there between second and third, which would have put Jake in some peril. But with that mistake, it instead grows to a 12-point gap. With Jake now closer to first than to third, so
Twiddies here, super close.
Yeah. Great battle here.
Yeah, let's see if they can all keep their composure. Section looks like they are. Who's got the better speed through here? Jake with a slightly awkward line. Twiddies going inside. Jake's going to slide out. It looks like. I believe Twiddies should be winning this round. Okay, nice return to form from him. Found his composure on it. And Jake dropping down to 4th place is going to be really painful for him, with Rapids obviously getting in second there.
Yeah, that's a few point swing.
Yeah, going to bring the gap 20 now between him and between Jake and Twiddies. Only a 10-point gap now between Jake and Rapids. So it's all to play for. See Jake going for this wide line at the start again, really trying to generate that speed through the reactor section. Maybe not quite paying off for him, but if it's the line that he's comfortable with, absolutely keep on driving that. Drive whatever you're comfortable at this stage in the event. Managed to keep the gear as did everyone else, I believe. It's that Twiddies just got a slight clip there.
About 7 tenths down.
Oh, and Rapid crashing the outside, going to allow Jake to catch up to him. And they will be battling back and forth at this little slalom section. Engine off, all good, no crashes so far. See who can keep their composure through on this ice slide here. really flip either way. Jake manages to go for a really nice inside line, though.
That was very tight from Jake there, and again, that was quite a big round in the context of the overall match as well, because
yeah,
Rapid's starting to get a bit close again, but the gap has now widened a bit more, and yeah, the gap seems to be staying quite constant between these three, despite the finishing position seeming to switch every single round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we had a single round there where the order of the 4 players was the same. It's completely varying rounds, but there's around a 25-point gap now between first and fourth. At the start of the last one, or the start of Go Wild, I believe was, there's a 40-point gap. So Twiddies has definitely been taken down a peg after Ieupad, and we're going to be going into Landau next, which the bug slide I think is going to be the biggest pinch point for these players. It's just players are going to be able to catch up, and that'll be the big turn where we can see some upsets happen. But we'll see. I mean, Twiddies just needs to get 11 points to be able to get into finalists. We could definitely take it home here. Jake absolutely could. Rapids, if he's quick enough and manages to get first in every single round, and a second place potentially, would be able to get a finalist and force it to have to win on the next map. But we'll see what happens points-wise. It'll be very close, I think, between all of these players. Yeah, as we get into the start of the first round here.
Yeah, so Twiddies has an opportunity to get in finalists within the next 2 rounds, but it's going to make it significantly harder for themselves with an early clip there. They shouldn't be more than about half a second down. It's definitely recoverable as Gibletz falls down to last. So
yeah, Twiddies getting a nice drift to help him narrow that gap between him and the rest of the field, thankfully. Everyone getting that ice slide pretty clean as well. It's around 0.2, 0.3 gap between Jake and Twiddies, between first and third respectively. Twiddies goes really low then, everyone else goes really high on the bug slide, but Jake managed to stay in this lead, around a 0.3 gap between himself and Twiddies. Twiddies cooked it a little bit too inside there, crashing the outside of the dirt. But
is Rapids close enough? No, definitely
so.
not.
I think Rapids maybe made another error there. So Jake getting a 10 points is going to be really big for his confidence on this map. 56.1 probably feels like he can push that a bit further, but it's a relatively good round time. You know, didn't have to do anything crazy, and he got his 10 points that he's been looking for.
Indeed. Well, this could be the last round where Twiddies isn't finalist. Twiddies just needs to finish in the top 2, something that I think they've certainly made a habit of doing so far in this match. But it's going to have to get past one of Rapids or JakeCotton to do so.
Yeah.
I think Rapids is the more likely one based on that first round. I think there's a chance of a mistake, although for now has got past Jake. So fight between Jake and Twiddies very close, second and third. Rapids actually extending the lead at the front. How are they going to handle the bug slide? Quite well, it has to be said.
Yeah, jumped quite early on that bug slide, but Dummer managed to get it incredibly clean. He's going to be keeping that lead.
If nothing changes going through the final second, if no one misses the finish, then Twiddies is going to be denied finalist for one more round. Is stuck on 99 points.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a painful one for him.
Definitely. And it puts Jake into a position where Jake can actually enter finalist on the same round.
Yeah.
So we might get a double finalist if we see Jake first, Twiddies second. Although, I'm also loving seeing how... Twiddies makes an early mistake, so the opportunity is more available for Jake. Rapids with mistake. Yeah, Gibletz falls behind as well. This is an immediate 3 attempts kind of lead for Jake.
Yeah, I mean...
Where Twiddies way more speed.
Goodness,
brings it down
really,
to 10.
Really nice drift there. Managing to close that gap to Jake and see the ice a little bit wobbly from Twiddies. Jake getting it incredibly clean. He'll be hoping that he can get this first place right now, get into that final position. So yeah, pretty safe bug slide from him. He's got at least a second gap, I believe, to Twiddies. Yeah, 0.8, give or take. He just keeps it smooth, keeps it in check, doesn't do anything crazy. He should be okay here. Very wide on the stadium grass, but he doesn't need to push anything. And that's
Twiddies!
Twiddies?
Twiddies.
Play my Twiddies?
Twiddies did not feel like finishing the track, it seems.
Okay, 4th place.
Gets a very strange clip.
That's
4th place
fine.
doesn't matter, still gets him into finalists, just throws a few more points in the direction of Rapids. But we now have our first double finalist.
Whew.
It is Twiddies versus Jake. Twiddies with an absolutely dominant starting match. Jake has been racking up consistent second places until this map where he's looked like he might well be fastest, but for now it is Twiddies with an early start in front of Jake. Only a 10 separates him. And Twiddies crashes! And Twiddies has gone. That's massive.
That should be Jake's round to win. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen. You know, Rapids is 0.6 behind. We could see... Oh, I thought Jake clipped there on the bug.
Same.
But he managed to keep it out of the wall, thankfully. Just a handful more corners left to go. 0.6 of a gap. Send it home safe. And he'll be the first person, I believe, to punch his ticket through to the lower bracket final. It's Jake.
Indeed.
He's done it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very well played from Jake there. In the middle of the match was about 20 points behind Twiddies and managed to rescue a first place.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah. Strong final section planned out. Definitely look like a map that Jake enjoys as well. So Jake making it into the lower bracket final. And now, I'm going to say it. Rapids is only one round away from finalist.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Twiddies doesn't win this first round, this is potentially dangerous.
Yeah. 2 first places, and it's all his. He's going to be knocking out Twiddies. You know, it could happen. It could happen. Who knows if maybe the pressure's starting to get to Twiddies, right? I mean, start of the match he was doing good, and now that he's reached finalist, he's looked a little bit pear-shaped. It's not been going so well for him. Though, who knows if this is, you know, a little bit of lack of competitive experience, just coming in and feeling a bit of the shake. I'd like to think that he'd be able to keep his composure and maybe make this work. But, again, with this map and how punishing it can be, I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if Rapids is able to get into finalists and then potentially push him even further and, you know, take the last slot of his own.
I mean, I gotta be honest though, this is the best map that could have ended up being rotated onto.
I think so.
For Twiddies. I mean, Twiddies won 4 out of 4 here last time, and it wasn't just a case of, you know, people making mistakes and somehow keeping it clean. Twiddies was just fast. We saw these low 49s coming out by the end. Mid 49 was considered a meh round for him, and Rapids, on the other hand, this looked like their worst track. They were quite notably behind Twiddies.
Yeah, but Twiddies
that said, this round...
He's not out of it, though. He is catching back up, neck and neck. We approach the ice bug slide. Oh, Rapids with a bit of a wonky drift here, but gets the bug slide nicely.
Twiddies has so much speed.
He does. He is careering.
Oh, too much speed!
A bunch, though.
Doesn't know what to do with it, doesn't drift tight enough, and Rapids will be taking us on to a double finalist.
He does it. He does it. I was a bit scared there. I thought he was going to hit the outside wall there on that last little corner. I was thinking, please don't do it like this. Let's have the absolute cinema of a double finalist. I got a feeling that this round's going to be our last round. I don't think Gibletz will be able to battle for first here. It could happen.
I mean, I'd love to see it, but...
Triple finalist. I mean, it would be insane, but it could happen, right? It could happen.
It would take 5 more rounds. I think Gibletz is out of this one, so it is going to be Twiddies versus Rapids. Who is going to get a chance for glory, a chance to continue their run in the lower bracket?
Twiddies not crashing where he did in the previous round and able to keep around a 10th and a half lead over Rapids. see everyone gets drift relatively nicely, but Twiddies
Ooh.
hits the tree, keeps
Twiddies
the bug slide
so lucky.
going, and then
Rapids!
He goes a bit too much onto the regrip, and that is going to cost him the entire tournament. Unfortunately. Twiddies.
That was such a weird mistake.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's the kind of mistake you only make in double finalists. It's just a silly one, just going a little bit too far left and clipping the wheel over. I will say though, Twiddies got away with murder with how that tree bounced him.
I have no idea how that tree just didn't eat all the speed up. He just hit the tree, was like, yep, on your way, have a good one, keep on bug sliding, go for it. Incredible last round there. Mistakes coming out from both players, but Twiddies able to hold on. As you said, that clip there from Rapids was just so unfortunate. It's one of the ones where 90% of rounds you get that regrip, you go onto that little beam and just get that bit more speed by avoiding the penalty fully. That round he avoided the penalty, but fell off the map instead. Easy to make when you're under pressure like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Rapids can still be very happy with how they played. You know, they managed to take Twiddies, who won, I think, 6 of the first 8 rounds. They managed to take Twiddies down to double finalists, and honestly had a shot in the final round until the mistake. Yeah, we do have the bracket starting to shape up.
Yeah. I believe the other match we've currently got ongoing, it sounds like Yug has managed to punch his ticket through to the to the grand final, actually. We're going to keep the ear out for who's going to be going through, and it sounds like Taokai as well managed to get through to the grand final. So congratulations to them too. They're going to have a little bit of a break until they play again. So probably able to grab some food, chill out, maybe practice some areas of the maps which they think need help on. But yeah, unfortunately, we're actually going to be saying goodbye to obviously Rapids and Gibletz from our match. The lower bracket round 1 is concluded from us. And we're going to be seeing Jake, Twiddies, Adsad, and Crisp in the lower final as our next match, which I can't wait for. I believe we're probably going to have a little bit of a shorter break than we did last time before we get into that match. But just off Raf, what do you think is going to be the outcome of that match then, Bedson?
Who is it who made it into the triple finalists? I need to ask production in my ear. I'm hearing it was Adsad. Based on that and that alone, I think Adsad could well be in a very good position. They looked strong in the first round match, you know, and I think it's one of the things. Rapids looked really rough in that first round match, if I'm going to be honest. And having seen that second round match in the lower bracket, that was because of how good Taokai and Adsad were playing. I think more than Rapids struggling. It was just a really tough first round match. So I think Adsad definitely comes in a strong position. I think Twiddies is the real coin toss. If Twiddies plays like they did at the first half of the match we just watched, they should get to the grand final. If they play like they did in the second half of the match we just watched, they will come 4th. There's no in between there. So yeah, I think I would say Adsad probably the only one I would bet on going through. The other 3, I have no idea. It really depends on what form of Twiddies we get. As to whether or not Jake can basically do what he did again.
Yeah, he sort of hustled him in this match, not doing the best at the start, and then Jake managed to get him a comeback and being the first person to complete finalist and get through to that lower final. It'll be very interesting to see how he fares up against the other players. Again, I'm going to be going to a short break now, so don't go anywhere. And when we're back, we'll be viewing the lower final.
Indeed, we'll see you in a minute.